drink a lot. Y'all know that. But there's this one time I was actually visiting this island, and I was living on Oahu. I was a young, reckless, irresponsible young adult, and we came here and decided to go fishing. So fishing and drinking always went hand in hand with me. And I was having a good time drinking, and then we were driving it. Well, I was driving it, excuse me. And I got into an accident. And the accident was so bad that I flew out of the window. And as you can see, I think God caught me and not laid me gently. I think He caught me, body slammed me to teach me a lesson. And I was injured. I landed on my tailbone. My backbone got shifted. My pelvis was crooked. And I suffered for many weeks. I still suffer today. And that was because of me. My own ignorance. My own stupidity. I suffered because of what I was doing. And I mean, after that event, I still didn't really learn the lesson. It took me a couple more accidents before I finally realized I shouldn't drink and drive. And it took a while, and I just thank God that He protected me and those around me during that time. There was another time, when as growing up as a child, and I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older brothers. And throughout high school, when I was younger, my 2 older brothers, they had so much stuff. They had cars when they was in high school. They could drive all over the place. They had dirt bikes which they could go riding on the weekends, and all this. They had all that good stuff. And then when I came of age, I was thinking, oh, my turn now. I'm gonna get all this stuff. But when I came of age to get all this stuff, I guess my parents might have learned that no. You're not getting one car. You're not getting a motorcycle. That's out of the question. And I was suffering. Through no fault of my own, I was suffering, and I was thinking that's not fair. It's not right. It's unjust. It's like cruel. Period. But as I grew up and I look back, I say, oh, my parents, they were smart. That's why they never gave me that. Because if they did, I wouldn't have made it to school, which I hardly made it to school anyway. Imagine if I had a car, what damage would have. And then motorcycle, if you see me ride a motorcycle, you know why they never give me a motorcycle. Because I get crazy. And ask my kids, they see me, I hop on a motorcycle, the first 5 seconds on the motorcycle, I was in the bushes. And they laughed, they reminded me of that every day. But I thought I was suffering, but it wasn't suffering, it was character building on my part. And God was doing something through my life. And if you look at the Bible, many times people suffered. Like if you read the book of Job, he suffered tremendously through no fault of his own. You look at David, he suffered because of what he did, but he repented and he turned his life around. Like Saul, he suffered through his own fault, but he never repented, and he suffered more. See, suffering, I believe, does something to each and every one of us that nothing else can seem to do. I mean, this is how it works. I invite a friend to church. I say, no, I'm good. I mean, it's okay, I'm fine. I don't need to go to church. I'm good. But then you add suffering to the equation. Let's go to church. Oh yeah, can you pray for me? One time at church, and they show up, but you take the suffering out of the equation when everything gets good, then they're gone until suffering comes upon us again. See, all of you right here are smart. You may have been suffering. You came to church, and God is blessing you, you're getting better, and you're still here. Okay? How many of you see people suffer, they come to church, oh, it's so good. 5 weeks later, where are they? Oh, everything got good, so they figure, oh, I don't need it. But all of you are here, you're sticking with it, so I think you guys deserve a hand. Oh, come on. You think of, sometimes we suffer not because of ourselves, sometimes we suffer because of ourselves. But this is what suffering does. This is one of the many, many things suffering does. Suffering prepares us to be the bride of Christ. It does. Suffering prepares us to be the bride of Christ. And I'll explain a little bit more, but there's no such thing as pointless pain and suffering in the life of a Christian or a follower of Christ. So, if you're a Christian, you're a follower of Christ, your suffering, your pain has a purpose. Unlike people who don't follow God, sometimes their pain and suffering is pointless. Like when I was stupid and I was drunk, my pointless pain and suffering, once in a while I see, just to act stupid, I see put a cigarette butt out on my arm. Pointless, stupid, for nothing. But as a follower of Christ, your pain has a point, has a purpose. So this should encourage us that when we're in the valleys of our pain that we go through, there's a purpose. This morning we'll discuss the value of pain and suffering, an uncomfortable, non-negotiable part of this fallen world. And there are many reasons God allows us to suffer. Personal sin is one. Moses, can you imagine Moses? He suffered. When God told him to speak to this rock and water will come forth, what did he do? He got the stick and he would whack the rock not once but twice. Water still came out. But then later on he would understand that because of what he did, because of his disobedience, when he got to the promised land, he went like this and it's like, oh man. And God said, no, you cannot go. That's it. And he would ask God again, but God said no. And that's the furthest he could go. And he could see the promised land and all the fruit, but he couldn't go no further. Can you imagine? That it's like for me, maybe I did something bad or something, and then I take my family to Waikoloa. I take them to the edge of the gate and I watch them go in, go down the slide, and I think, oh man, I wish I never do that. But it's like suffer because of what he did, because of his disobedience. He didn't suffer immediately, but later on he did. On the other hand, when we look at the life of Job, he was an upright, blameless man. And in one day he lost his family, his flocks, his health starts to go. He didn't do anything, like he didn't sin to cause the suffering. But one of the reasons we suffer, it prepares us to be the radiant bride of Christ. How many of you are married here? When you got married, what did you want your bride to look like? Pretty, yeah? And for you women, when you got married, your spouse, what do you want him to look like? Not like this, sorry, but I'm not that example set before you. I would have to be like, 5 inches taller and thicker and, but what did you want? You didn't want your bride to look with the hair all, like they woke up, first thing in the morning and clothes with all pukas and smelling, they'll take a bath. No, not at all, right? You wanted your bride to look pretty, physically fit, made up, and smart. And women, your husband, you wanted him to bench press 300 pounds with muscles, and, one six-pack over here, not one keg, but one six-pack, right? After we get married, it turns into a keg. One big keg, yeah. But you ever thought about it? You ever thought about the work that is put in to becoming educated and smart? To becoming physically fit? to get up and to put on makeup and straighten your hair, whatever you need to do, it takes work. And for me, like the getting smart part, that's suffering. The exercise part, that's suffering. Yeah. How many of you like to exercise? Yeah, some of you guys are sick. You guys are not normal. Yeah, that's not at all.